Hello, 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 as you guys are hopping on. Welcome, welcome back. Today is an exciting day where it all finally comes together. So welcome back for day 3. Feel free to dance. While we wait, please share. What was your biggest aha moment from yesterday? And how are you feeling today? Are you excited to learn how to get all of this stuff out of your body, to finally feel different, less stress, all those good things? So if you want, go ahead and drop that in the chat and we'll just give everybody a moment to hop on and then we'll get started. Get yourself ready today, because today we're actually going to be doing the work. Are you ready to dive in? Today is, I think, my favorite day because we actually get to start talking about the how. I feel like so often everybody talks about what you need to do. Let it go, surrender, release your emotions. But we often aren't sure how to actually do that. And so today's exciting because we're really going to get into the how so you can finally start seeing how this actually works. So before we dive into day 3, let's just recap day 1 and day 2 because there's been a lot of information that we have been told in these last couple days. Also, don't forget that today is the last day to enter yourself for our scholarship. So make sure you're going on to our Hey You Human app and answering those homework prompts in the Stress Less, Live More event. That'll qualify you for our scholarship. And then tomorrow morning, we will pull our scholarship winner for a full year into our Happy Human membership, which we're going to talk about a little bit later today. So recapping day 1 and day 2. We learned that stress is the unprocessed emotions and trauma caused from our lived experiences and life memories. We learned it has little to do with our external and a whole lot to do with our internal. That most of us aren't moving our emotions and traumas out of our body. We're thinking about it. We're feeling it, right? Like when you have anxiety or stress, it's a feeling, right? You feel it in your body. You feel it, but we're actually not emoting it out of our body. And that's where I think we get stuck. We feel like, okay, feel your feelings. Okay, I'm feeling them. I'm thinking about them. I'm kind of saying them in my head, maybe even like talking them out, but like they're still there. So how do we actually get them out? And we learned we must really fully process the emotions that have been left behind in our bodies to truly change our lives and eliminate the stress from it. And most of us have a lot of judgments around these emotions. And we learned a lot about traumas and, all sorts of stuff. So before we get started, take that deep breath in. Just come back to yourself, come back to this present moment, kind of take your brain and all those thoughts and kind of set them over on the side for right now so that we can really be present pay attention here, and get the most out of this day. Let's do this. Day 3. Okay, so we are going to talk about the rapid relief technique. And this is going to be your best friend when it comes to getting the emotions out of your body and getting relief from all the things you don't want in life. Stress, anxiety, overwhelm, issues in your relationship, issues with finances, issues in your business, all the issues. So what is it? How was it discovered? And what can it do for you? So it is a type of tapping modality. It's a little different. If you have used EFT, TFT, other tapping modalities, this is different. So stay tuned. We're going to dive more into it. It's actually helping to get the things that are stuck moving again, so they can actually leave your body. Now, how it was discovered is interesting. And somebody had asked about this yesterday. They had said, like, how did you find all of this information and this stuff? And interestingly, I didn't find it. I really discovered it. And I know that a lot of people say, there aren't new things in this world. Everything's kind of repackaged. What we're teaching here and what we teach at Hey You Human really is new information. As we've evolved as humans, understanding how we operate and understanding our emotions and understanding stuff is new. We've evolved. Our world has evolved. Once upon a time, things like therapy and psychotherapy and, mindset work and stuff was enough for us to be happy and satisfied. But our world has drastically changed. And I don't know if you know this. I mean, we are bombarded with stimuli constantly. We are so stimulated. We see what's going on in the entire world at this point. Our world has massively changed. And because of that, we need to adapt. It's the reason why our stress levels and our anxiety levels are higher than ever. It's the reason why our disease and our life expectancy is actually on the decline. Disease is going up. Life expectancy is going down. It's why our happiness factor is going down. It's why we're seeing so many more genetic abnormalities, is because we currently are not adapting well to our evolving surroundings. And so the information that we're teaching and I'm teaching and we're really bringing to the world as Hey You Human is kind of these missing components that we need to understand and really bring into our life and implement so that we can now adapt to this world, evolve to what's going on in the world around us and feel happy and satisfied and be okay. And so it was really discovered. It wasn't so much something I learned or, found somewhere else. And now I'm in letting people know. I really discovered it. And I'm going to tell you how I discovered it. And so I, like many of you here, was really in a place in my life where I was very stressed out. I had kind of done everything. I had done all the things that a person was supposed to do to be happy. And there wasn't a whole lot of happiness per se. Things were fine, but I didn't have that alive feeling, that joy that I think we're all kind of looking for. It kind of felt more like I was just like in the mundane of like getting through the days. And it just felt like something was missing here. And around this time, a lot of things started to happen in my life that were really, really hard to deal with. I had a lot of big personal issues occur. I had a lot of really hard things occur with my children and my family. It was kind of like, in a way, my life fell apart. And I turned to a lot of the work that I knew how to do. And one of the things I had learned how to do was EFT, which is a form of tapping, a form of helping calm our bodies. And so I had a moment where my kids had really stressed me out. And I was breaking, like, blah. And for any mom in the room, any dad in the room, any human that takes care of children or has humans, we have those moments, and not even with children, but with other people, where they just take you to your limit and you just lose it. And it's never one of our prouder moments as humans, but I know it's happened to all of us. And I had a moment prior to this where I had decided I didn't want to be, I called it monster mommy with my kids anymore. I didn't want to be that person that just like was holding it in, then like I burst out at them. And they were little at the time, maybe 1 and 3, real little. And so I didn't want to be that person anymore. And so I decided that when that was going to happen, I was going to like remove myself from the situation. And so I removed myself. I was about to have one of those moments, and I did. I always joke and say, what every good parent does, I locked myself in the bathroom, right? Like panic, must run, lock myself away. And I didn't know then what I know now, which was so much of my trauma was being triggered at this point, right? So much of my emotions that were in there, my trauma, and I did not know how to get them out. I was just trying to hold basically the pressure cooker together long enough so that it didn't explode. And we can only hold so much as humans. And that's why this world has gotten so hard right now, is because I don't believe that the human we were back in 1800, 1600 was ever designed or capable of holding all that we know and see and feel about the world now. You go back to the 1800s, like you didn't know what was going on in the world. I mean, you might have gotten a letter, and by then it was probably over. It was a very different place. And so now we're here, and our pressure cooker has it's too much, and we don't know how to release. Nobody's taught us what we do in this evolving world. And that's what we're going to learn today. And so I was in the bathroom, and I was using normal EFT tapping. And normal EFT tapping is much more about calming. And so I was saying all this anger in my body, releasing this anger. Again, it was more about talking and like feeling, and not so much about actually emoting and moving and expressing what was really in me. And so I was saying, feeling so angry, bringing love into my body, letting this go. And then something kind of overtook me. And as I was tapping, I lost my shit. And I started, honestly, I was whispering this because my kids were like outside the bathroom door. But I started saying all the things that I actually wanted to say, the things that were running around in my head. I hate my life. I hate myself. I hate these children. I feel so trapped. I just want to die. I just want to run. I can't do this. I can't do this life. It's too much. It's too much. It's too hard. You're a terrible mother. You're a terrible mother. I was basically saying all the things everybody says not to say to yourself. Right? Everybody's like, self-love. What are you saying to yourself? Say the good things, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of was bought into that. Like, don't say these things to yourself. Positive thinking, blah, 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 blah. But what I learned that day was those things are in me. And as I said this, and guys, it was only like 30 seconds and it was very intense. I felt better. Like I was like, oh, I don't know what just happened there, but I feel better. And I opened the door and I walked out, and my kids were calm and I was calm. And I was like, I don't know what in God's name just happened in that bathroom, but I think I might be onto something. And prior to this, guys, and I had kind of said this in earlier days, I had kind of felt like we had been healing when it came to, or not healing, settling when it came to our healing. I had felt like people say you can get over stuff. People say you can, like, I don't feel better. Like maybe I feel a little different, but like it's still in me. And I had kind of asked, like I had kind of, prayed in a way and said like, help us out here. like universe, God, whoever it is, like you believe, helps us out here. I was kind of in this place of like, we're missing something. Like we're missing something here. I can feel it. There is a disconnect. What we're doing now isn't working. Like, show me the freaking way. Like, show me the way. And I didn't know it then, but at that moment, I was being shown this different way to work with my human, to work with my emotions, to work with the mass amount of stimuli that we are just bombarded with in this world. Because I know as much as you guys do that I don't want to go live on a farm in the middle of nowhere. Right? I mean, I'm sure I could be like, oh, this world's too hard. I'm just going to go be a farmer. But you know what? There's probably a lot of stimuli that comes with being a farmer, man. You got to take care of your animals. You got to make sure your plants are growing. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not always the best at keeping my plants alive. I mean, like, no matter what you do, you're going to run into stuff. You can simplify it a bit, but a lot of us don't want to. I don't want to necessarily simplify my life per se. I want to do all the things I want to do. I want to see all the things I want to see. I want to know what's going on in the world. But I want it to not cause me an entire physiological, mental thing that makes it too much to deal with. And the rapid relief technique has done this for me and for so many other people. And so that's what it can do for your life. It makes it so that you don't actually have to change necessarily a whole bunch of stuff in your life. It's not the job. It's not the kids. It's not the spouse. It's not all of this. It's actually all of this that needs to come up and out of us. And that's what we're going to learn how to do today. So first, let's remember a few things. Your body's smart. Remember, guys, your body's smart. It knows what it needs to do. That moment with my kids, my body knew what it needed to do. It knew it needed to say all these irrational, ridiculous things. Were they irrational and ridiculous? Yes. Did I want to die? Not really. Do I hate my kids? No. Do I think I'm the terrible, worst, most horrible, disgusting mother on the planet? No. But my body knew that that was living in me, and my body knew that that was detrimental and unbalancing for me. And so it said, you need to get this out. To shift things, we must first process things. We try to change so many things in our lives. I mean, I know I'm going to change this in my life. I'm going to start doing this. We start trying to change our behaviors, and they often don't stick. Right? We find ourselves at 2 a.m. eating chocolate in the closet. Not that that's you, but you know what I'm saying. We often end up, it's like there's a monster inside of us that controls us. And we're like, what the hell? It's because for things to actually shift, we have to first process the emotions, the emotional monster that's inside of us. But you know what, guys? That emotional monster inside of you is not scary. He's a sad little human who just wants to be loved and accepted for all of his crazy emotions that are going on right now, and we just need to feel them. We talked yesterday about productive versus unproductive emotions, and we're going to talk about this more as we start to implement how to do this, so that we're not just emoting during a Grey's Anatomy episode and crying about the guy dying. We're actually getting to the core of what's really going on here. Because I will tell you, what you're going to learn is those moments in life where a TV show makes you cry can be very useful if we know how to use it. And let's also remember that this is a personal experience. One of our biggest issues in our world right now is that we make other people responsible for our emotions. Here is what the world needs to understand. You and only you are responsible for your emotions. Does bullshit happen in this world that needs to be shifted? Of course. Are there assholes in this world that are just mean and terrible and need to not speak to people in the way they do? Of course. But they still are not responsible for your emotions. You are. And this is something almost like so ingrained to us, because I see my kids say this sometimes to me. They'll say, I'm so sorry, mommy, I made you sad. And I'll say, baby, you did not make me sad. I am responsible for my emotions. You reacted or did whatever thing you needed to do, and I reacted to that. That's on me. That's on me, how I react. We don't look at emotions in this world like this. We look at emotions as, well, I wouldn't have acted that way if they wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't be so angry if that wouldn't have happened. It's not to say that an injustice didn't occur. We can sit here, like I told you that story about my husband, where he had spoken harshly. If I would have come and made him responsible for my emotions, you make me feel so dismissed. He would have gotten immediately defensive, because innately as humans, we know we're not responsible for other people's emotions. And so instead, I took it and had a personal experience. And then I came back and said, hey, I understood that I interrupted you, but the way you spoke to me felt harsh. Do you think you could consider speaking to me maybe a little kinder? And because I was coming in that energy, he was like, yeah, sorry, I see that. And it doesn't always work perfectly like that. Sometimes there's things that have to be worked through and understood, but making people responsible for our emotions is always going to end in crap. Even on the big scale, when you look at big world problems, we're doing the same thing. We're doing the same thing. And if we all just took a moment and actually dealt with our emotions, we could probably sit down at the table and maybe actually do some real work together. But people don't know this, and people don't understand this. And so they think it's you, me, and it's a whole big mess. So more on emotions. Emotions are not logical or rational. And as we get in this today, guys, I want you to really, really hear me say this. Emotions are not rational or logical. We try to make them, we try to fit them into a little box. Oh, is it okay for me to feel this way? Am I allowed to be upset? Ooh, it doesn't matter. You're allowed to feel however the hell you want to feel. Is it appropriate for you to go vomit those feelings on the person? Nah, friend, nah. That's the part that's not appropriate. But in terms of how you feel inside, that is always valid. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's not rational. And I shared that story with you about when I was in Arizona, and I knew in my brain, this makes no sense, that I am so freaking pissed about this. It makes no sense. But my body didn't care. It was real and valid to me. And so I gave myself the permission to go work through it. Again, most emotions are for personal use. They're for personal use. They're for personal growth, evolution, understanding. They're not to be shared. They can be shared afterwards. I love it. And with the people I work with and the people in this community, when I can be like, oh my God, girl, you said that. And I like almost lost my shit. But then I went and just tapped through it and did all this stuff. And this is what was really at the bottom of it. Oh my God, how funny. Because once you actually move completely through the emotion, guys, you see the situation completely different. And this is one of my favorite things I say, check yourself before you wreck yourself. We often go in, and I guarantee you've done this before. You've gone in with a bunch of emotions, and then maybe you've actually like removed yourself and cried and felt it all. And then you look back and you're like, wow, that's a little embarrassing. Did not handle that one well. I even hold this true with check yourself before you wreck yourself, even with like social media posts. When I'm feeling when something happens in the world and I'm like outraged, like, oh, the injustice of the world, I still will work through all of my emotions around it first before I go out and speak on it. So that it's really coming from a clean space of seeing what's actually happening and not through my trauma and emotions. Judgments and triggers are your best friends. When you're judging someone, they're mean, they're rude. That's not okay. Whether or not that's real or not doesn't matter, actually. there was a judgment there and you need to go into it. Because after you go through the judgments, what will happen is you won't necessarily feel like it's right or wrong. You'll just be like, that's not for me. Or, wow, that person, just the way they speak, that's just the way they are. And I don't really like it, so I don't need to put myself around it. Your triggers, all of it. And we're going to talk more about that. The steps of the rapid relief technique, they're pretty simple. Notice a trigger, a pattern, or something that invokes a feeling or an emotion. And it can be a tiny thing, guys. It can be like you just spilled your water glass and for some reason you're like ready to, throw it across the room and break it. Do not ignore or judge said feeling or emotion. Don't get in your head and try to logic it away. Don't tell yourself I shouldn't feel this way. Don't tell yourself life is good. It's fine. Use event to get to the core emotion that is behind this. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Get to the core using voice, movement, and tapping while expressing. Feel relief. You can say things out loud or not. Either way, they're living in you. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Patrick. But that's what I'm trying, or David. That's David, right? From Schitt's Creek. But that's the thing. You can say it or not. You can try to change your mindset. You can try to focus on the positive. You can do all the things. The minute you had that in your body, that emotional reaction, it needed to be expressed. And if it wasn't expressed, it's still inside of you. So what does expressing look like? Thinking is not feeling. Feeling is not always emoting. Oops, hold on. 1 second. Let me just hit it once. Okay. Thinking is not feeling. So we often think when we go to like therapy and we're talking and we're thinking about things and we're feeling it in our bodies and we're playing it out and a little tear squeaks down, that's us expressing an emotion. That's not. That's thinking, that's feeling it in our bodies. Emotion, energy in motion. It is the movement of those feelings. It is the expressing, the voice, the movement, the anger, the crying. And it can even get more crazy. Look at our children when they express, little kids. That's expressing. Some examples are them flailing around, wanting to hit something, wanting to scream, wanting to say things how you really want to say them. Often we think expressing is like this. You're making me really angry right now. I don't know why you're so mean to me. When really we want to say something like, what? That's expressing. And we don't let our bodies do that because we were told when we were little, it wasn't appropriate. And again, it's not appropriate to do it at your coworker, your spouse, your children, but it lives in you and it needs to come out. So why the rapid relief technique? So tapping does 2 things for your body. It calms it. And this is what EFT teaches in TFT. It calms it. But what we've learned taking it further with the rapid relief technique is it also clears. So it's actually a scientific process when you're tapping like you're doing it. I'm going to show you how to do it in a second here. It's literally calming your amygdala down. So it's actually telling your amygdala, hey man, it's safe. You can feel. Because often if our body is at a certain level of stress, and I know you guys are obviously in here because you're carrying around stress and anxiety, our bodies will not let us feel and emote the emotion. Why? Well, it makes sense if we go back into our history. Let's say you were being chased by a tiger and your body needed to cry because it was freaked out. Well, it can't. If you sit down and cry right now, tiger's going to eat you. You're gone. You're dead. It's over. And so we used to have to survive in a different way. And so we had these mechanisms put into our body basically that said, holy moly, level of stress is here. No emotions can be felt. Survive. Now we've evolved. Tigers aren't chasing most of us. Maybe in some areas we're being chased by tigers, but tigers aren't chasing most of us. But we're still feeling that way when that happens. We're not being chased by a tiger. Sorry, my husband just walked in to get his golf clubs and it distracted me. That's okay. I'll let you leave and then I'll get back on track. Okay, bye. The joys of working from home, having a back house home office, right? Where the golf clubs are kept over in the other room. Anyways, so you, because of this world, are often kept at a certain level of stress now, right? You're being bombarded with world events. You're being bombarded with family things. You're being bombarded with all the marketing that exists, stressing us out. You're being bombarded with all of this stuff that's keeping your stress level up here. And your body's saying, oh, hell, we can't feel our emotions right now. We will die. You won't. Most of you, like I said, there are people in this world who are still in those situations, life or death type survival situations. That still exists. But most of you who are here aren't in that situation. You're not being chased by a tiger. You're not being, in war zones and things like that, even though this can still help, even in those things, help us calm and get some of these emotions out so we can see clearer. But we're not necessarily in a true survival mode right now. And so what this starts the process of is actually allowing that amygdala to calm down a bit so that your body's like, okay, I'm a little bit calmer. I can feel, I can process this out. Remember the polar bear? That polar bear knew after he got through that stressful event where he couldn't think, process at all, once he had the space and the traumatic, stressful event was over, his body knew what to do. His body calmed itself down and it shook it out. It felt, it roared. It did all of these things to process it out. The problem we're having in the world is that we're either constantly bombarded by stressful things so that we're kept at a level of stimuli that doesn't allow us to feel, right? Or when we are in a relaxed situation and able to feel, we have no idea what to do with it, and it terrifies us, so we start distracting ourselves again. Have you ever felt like you can't relax? Have you ever felt like you just constantly keep yourself busy and you don't know why? It's often because when you do give yourself space, your body goes, oh boy, great, finally we can get this all out, and you feel icky. You feel like you want to cry, you feel stuck, you feel rah, and you don't like it. And so you immediately pop yourself back into busy mode, in stress mode, because that actually to you feels more known. And because it feels more known, it feels more comfortable. It also is always available. My favorite thing about the rapid relief technique is this. You don't need to book a session with your therapist. You don't need to wait until Monday till you can do this. Something we've incorporated into our membership recently is breath work, somatic breath work. It's a great release for your body. I'm going to talk about it in a little bit, and we love it. But at the end of the day, you got to book the session. You got to be with a facilitator who can do it. This, you don't need to. Of course, there's things that can help you go further. Our practitioners that can help you go further. Our membership that can help it, you go further with this. But at the end of the day, you can learn this right here today, and it is always by your side. Always by your side. You don't have to wait on someone. You can do this yourself whenever something's coming up. It allows for emotions to pass quicker. So often we kind of stay stuck in those emotions because we're not getting to the core, and they just keep coming up and they just keep coming up and they just keep coming up. This allows us to get to the core and to feel it quicker and for it to leave a lot quicker. And it also gives you a sense of permission. For some reason, when we're kind of tapping on this, it's almost like it's telling ourselves and our bodies, you're allowed to feel this. Go. It removes stagnant and stuck emotions and trauma from your body. So as you go through your day and you continue to push this stuff down, as you've carried stuff from your ancestors that have been passed down through you to your DNA and in your nervous system, it's hard sometimes to access that stuff. It has been doors shut, closed, down in there. When we use the tapping with the words that we're saying, it sends a vibration down into our body. Kind of like if you ever gotten jewelry cleaned and it sends that vibration in there and kind of gets the little dirt that's like way in there that you can't get. That's what this tapping is also doing. It's putting these stagnant and stuck emotions and trauma back into motion. Motion. So that they can actually be expressed and leave your body and you can finally start feeling better. So I'm telling you, there's a chance. There's a chance that you really might be able to get rid of the stress. And not might be, you can get rid of it. If you work on this and continue to implement this into your life, there's no reason why your stress will not decrease and eventually be eliminated from your life. Oh yeah, right? Yay. So how do we do it exactly? Right? Because you're like, okay, enough talking, Sarah. This is great. Stop telling me all the information. Show me how to do this thing. Okay. So the simple steps. And if you, like I said, if you're familiar to tapping, we use similar points, but not all of them. And we do it a little bit differently in terms of how we speak. So you're tapping on points with moderate pressure. The points are shown here. You can look at me and you can follow along. Boop, boop, boop. Moderate pressure. You don't want to bruise yourself, but you don't want to be super light either. I tap with my right hand on my right side because generally in energy, emotional world, this side of you is your releasing side and this side of you is your receiving side. Some people will tap both. Doesn't matter, whatever feels right to you. Remember, guys, I'm going to kind of give you a blueprint here. And then you need to make it your own in a way. And so we're tapping. And then you're going to say the things that are really in there. And you're going to say it like you mean it. And you're going to allow the emotions to come up and out. And you're going to continue to repeat this until the emotion's gone. Or you feel less. Or you have to go to your dinner party, so you got to pull it together. Try it. You might just like it. Okay, so let's practice. Think of something that's bothering you. Literally anything. It can be the pimple on your chin. It can be the extra fat on your butt that's been bothering you. It can be what your spouse said to you last night at dinner. It can be something that's been in your mind for a long time. Why can't I make money like I want to? Why is the world so hard? It can be anything. And we're going to start tapping on our points and we're just going to start saying things. We're just going to start saying things. Even if they don't make sense. Even if they're irrational. You know, I'll even give you an example of something I'm going through with my daughter right now. She's in a very needy phase of her life. And so if I were to do this, it would look like this. Oh my God, why does she need me so much? I'm so sick of this. Like it makes my skin crawl. Like it bothers me so freaking much. The constant needing, it feels so heavy. I hate it. It feels like, oh, just too much. Now, what's actually coming up for me as I'm going through this is nobody ever did that for me. And it's really like in real time bringing up emotions. Nobody ever did that for me. I wanted someone, I needed someone, and nobody ever did that for me. Like, where were they? Why did I always have to do things on my own? Why did I have to be so responsible so young? It wasn't fair. And if she didn't get it, or if I didn't get it, I'm not giving it to her. I don't want to give it to her. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And then that's usually when we really start getting into the emotions around. I mean, like literally, like this is making me like just doing this now. But you guys also have to keep in mind, like I'm basically a professional emoter and I teach this for a living. So it's very easy for me to quickly go into my emotions and quickly get to the core. As you start doing this, it can take a minute. Some of you may start tapping honestly and be like, nothing's happening. I feel nothing. And that's normal sometimes. You have to remember, a lot of you are in here are what, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, and you've suppressed your emotions and judged them for a long time. So it might take a minute for us to get in there and kind of crack this bad boy open. So a few things to remember. Most of the techniques we're using to reduce stress in our life actually aren't reducing anything. They're techniques used to either suppress stress or to momentarily calm ourselves through distraction or dissociation. And not to say that these things are bad. If I'm in the middle of presenting right now and my husband comes in and gets his golf clubs, which actually didn't bother me at all, but let's say it did, like, this is not the time to start crying and be like, what doesn't he respect me? Like, right, like that's not the time. And so some of these techniques that we have are useful for me to say, focus, deal with it later. But what we don't do is deal with it later. We just keep pushing it down, pushing it down, pushing it down, trying to cope, trying to change the behavior, trying to change the thing, and just adding to our stress level. The rapid relief technique is true healing and evolving. It is taking you through and to the core of the emotions so that you can have it be fully expressed and actually released. And that's the best part of it, guys. Like, I can't tell you, I know where you're at, man. I know what it's like to be stressed out, to have all those things running around in your head. And then you can't focus on the things you want to focus on. You're tired. I can't tell you how many people tell me, like, I'm so tired. And I'm like, yeah, I know why you're so tired. Like, holding all of that in your body is exhausting. It's exhausting. It's exhausting mentally. It's exhausting physically. It's exhausting emotionally. And so you're tired, you're sick of being tired, and it just adds on. And as you start removing all of this stuff, you're like, oh, wow, I feel lighter. And this is how life actually changes for you. It's how you stop constantly fighting yourself in life so much. Do you ever feel like you're like fighting yourself? Like there's a part of you that's like, yay, want to get that done. And the other parts of you like, nope, not today, bitch. Go back to bed. But I don't want to go back to bed. I want to do this. No, you don't. Like, right, where we're like in this constant battle with ourselves. Don't want to be this person, want to be this person, somehow can't stay this person, end up always being back to this person. What's wrong with me? And that also just fuels this deep, dark amount of self-hate that we have within ourselves too, that we're not good enough, we're not doing enough, we're not, the person we want to be. And it just leaves us feeling meh and icky. This is how you guys come back to you. This is how we find out who we are, what we want, and really create the lives that we were meant to create. The process is simple, but it's not always easy to apply and keep doing. Like I said, you guys, this is new. This is new information. This is a new way to look at life. And so it can take a moment for us to get this. And so as you continue practicing this, and as we continue going through our next 2 days, I want to introduce you to our Happy Human membership if you're interested in going deeper with this and doing it quicker and easier. Because at the end of the day, it can take a moment to get this. We actually know what you need. We actually know what's in there, and we can help it come out a whole lot faster. And so our membership's really cool. It has all the things you need to finally kick the stress. We have our core curriculum, which we call our foundation. And this really, guys, is what's going to teach you this method much deeper, right? It's really going to help you understand it. And furthermore, but like I said, you can already go do it on your own. Go. When you leave this, I want you today to go practice this out. But what I really like about the foundation is what it does is it takes you where you might not go yourself. So we have worked with thousands and thousands and thousands of humans. And most of what we end up at the core is very similar. And so we devise already tappings and things for you to listen to and just repeat that take you to the places where we know you need to go to get this stuff out a whole lot quicker and start feeling better a whole lot quicker. It took me years and years and years to figure all this out and to go into this little by little, using everything that was happening in my life to do it. And I kept thinking, God, I wish somebody would have just told me this was at the core of that. That's what this does. It helps you see it so much quicker, so much faster. It also has stuff in there once you get through all the clean out and the gunk that really helps you learn how to communicate with the people in your life. We teach you how to do this, then we teach you how to apply it to your body, to money, to your relationships, and how to really cultivate a life of love and understanding and awareness, and really make this part of your life so that you're constantly able to keep growing and evolving and feeling better and better and better. We also have the daily dose. I know I just said the foundation was my favorite part, but the daily dose actually might really be my favorite part, because this is where everyday live, it's mostly me or one of my team members go in there, and we really anchor into the good stuff. Because after you get all the crap out, then you want to bring in the good stuff. Right? So it's like we say all these things, like I was just telling you how I would do it with my daughter, right? I would be in here saying, nobody did this for me. Why didn't anybody love me like that? Why wasn't I good enough to have somebody take care of me? Right? That's what's real inside my body right now. Once I get that out, then I want to anchor into the truth, which is I deserve people who take care of me. I get to be taken care of and loved. And so we do that every freaking day in the daily dose, 7 days a week. Every morning you can catch it live with us, or it's in there for you to do when you're, ready for it. There's a whole bunch more in there too, if you want extra daily doses throughout the day. And this is really a lot about co-regulating too, you guys. A lot of us learned from our parents stress. We learned anxiety. We're going to talk about this on Friday about the money. We learned trauma around money. That's actually what feels safe to our nervous system, because it's what we co-regulated with our parents and the people around us. Is you do this work and you start removing stuff out, one of the most amazing things you can do is re-co-regulate to people who are healthy, to people who are calm. And I do this in the daily dose. I'll say, I want you guys to feel into my nervous system, the calm, the peace. And I want you to regulate to that. And so it starts retraining your body. And so does our community. Being surrounded by a community of people who are healthy humans, working on themselves, vulnerable, willing to talk about all of this stuff is another amazing space that we've created in the membership. We also have support. So weekly live Q&A sessions to answer all your questions. And then we are now starting to implement every month a breathwork session. And so these are really powerful sessions where we kind of take you into a deep, almost meditative breathwork state, and we just let your body kind of do whatever it needs to do. Get out that frustration, scream if it needs to, cry if it needs to, and it kind of takes your brain out of the work so that your body can just do what it needs to do. They're super powerful. It was a modality I came across about maybe 6 months ago, and I was like, this is a key component that we need in our membership. And so we're also always investing in our membership. We really say that joining our membership isn't about like paying us. It's really about investing in us, because our whole philosophy is, how can we make this better for our humans? How can we continue to create something that's going to get us better results for our people, make people feel happier, have better lives? And so we're always out there looking. And when I came across breathwork, I was like, done. I'm getting certified. We're getting some of our people certified. We're bringing this into our work. This is going to help people even more. And we don't even charge for it. It just gets added in to the membership. So we are constantly doing that. We're constantly adding monthly courses too. Like we have a course on parenting that's in there. We have, we'll do stuff on business. We'll do stuff on finances. So we're constantly adding stuff into it to continue to just allow you guys to continue processing out your emotions and creating a better life for yourself. So some quick results. I never changed the slide, so there is spelled incorrectly. Melissa did send me the correct one, but then I had a call I had to take and it never got done. So don't judge us on our misspelling. We're humans with human error. So after 6 weeks inside our membership, and this is after polling tons of our members, 60% decrease of anxiety in their life. So this is only 6 weeks later. 6 weeks later, look at the decrease of anxiety, stress, an increase in energy, 62% increase in energy, experience an improvement with money, relationship, 52%. Again, guys, this is only after 6 weeks. Experience an improved in their relationship with their body, 68%. Improve relationship with their children, 78% after 6 weeks. Let me show you what happens after 6 months. 89% of humans reduced anxiety. Almost 90% of our humans, 100% of our humans decrease in stress. Decrease in stress. And this is after 6 months. So not even that long of a time. Think of how many years you have been spending in your life trying to figure out how to crack the code on feeling better and reducing your stress and getting your life where you want it to be. 89% experience an increase of enjoyment in their life. And these results, by the way, guys, just keep going up the longer our people are in there. It just keeps getting better and better and better and better. And our goal is to get you all to 100%, obviously. We've cracked the stress one. People start reducing their stress right away in here, and it just keeps getting better and better. And to also tell you guys this too, this is across all sorts of different races, ethnicities, socioeconomical classes. We are not just targeting the coaching industry or things like this. This is a large different demographic of people who are entrepreneurs, people who are just working in normal jobs, people who are staying at home with their kids. You know, it's people who we're in over 80 countries, you guys. So this is not even American based. This is in a whole bunch of different countries throughout the world. And so what we've really noticed is what we have here is human. It's for humans. It's not about, you know, having a certain background or being in a certain place. This is a human thing, kind of like writing. Every human can learn to write for the most part, and it's a human skill. What we're teaching in here is a human skill, and how to apply it and how to do it and how to use it in your life. So what our members are saying, before Hey You Human, my life was scrabbled. I made money, but could never hold on to it. So this is one a lot about money, right? Really feeling like she finally got control over her money. This is my favorite one. I finally feel alive in the most extraordinary way. Just feel alive. The biggest shift I've experienced in doing this work is my confidence and ability to just be me. Shifting and owning who I am, loving who I am, like big stuff, you guys. The anxiety, lack of money, safety decreased. And this is a big one for everybody, right? Not feeling safe, not feeling like you have enough money. I joined this program because I was tired of acting like things were perfect when they weren't, hiding all of my feelings. Something had to give. I'm believing in myself a whole lot more and knowing that every single thing I want is available to me. Can you imagine how that feels? Once upon a time, I never imagined that I'd be where I am right now. This program, I found ways that I could unselfishly live. I've been able to learn how to control my emotions, right? Once we get our emotions out, guys, then when the stimuli happens, you're not in this reactive state. You're like, oh, wow, feeling some emotions here. Going to take a moment. And so you're able to actually work with them instead of them controlling you. This is one of my favorite. Healed myself of my chronic neck and back pain. So this is a person that, and he's one of our practitioners now, went through tons of stuff trying to figure out his physical pain, and through this work has healed his body. So pricing and special offer, you guys are probably like, okay, I love it, want to join. What's this going to cost me? Not a whole lot, friends. Our regular price is $9.97 for a year. So an entire year. But we're giving you an event pricing right now at 50% off. You can get 12 months for $498.50 USD. It's time sensitive and available to those who join our membership before midnight on Friday. So this is a deal of a lifetime. I don't even think we've ever done something this low. I'm not sure. But here's kind of the reasoning behind this, because some people are like, well, why a whole year? As you saw in our results, you do get immediate results, but the results keep on going. The longer you're in this, the better it gets. And what we've seen is that at 6 months, it's getting real good. And as we get to that year mark, that's where our people are like really, really shining. And so we want to incentivize. We know we get you the best results if we get you for a year or more. And so we want to incentivize you to come join us and really do this with us. And we love giving bonuses like this and kind of making them time sensitive, because let's be honest, guys, sometimes you need a little bit of an incentive to show up for you. Life happens. There's a lot going on. Life is going on. All these things happen. You're like, oh, not right now. And this is happening and this and this and this. And I know you know this, but how often have you said, I'm going to put this off till next month, and then next month becomes next month, and then next month becomes next month. And then all of a sudden you're looking back 3 years later being like, oh crap, I wish I would have done that then. And one of the biggest things we hear from our people is, I wish I would have done the membership sooner. Time and time again, people come and join our membership and they say, damn, I wish I would have done this sooner. This is so good. I mean, I got results on my own, but I just wish I would have done this sooner. We have carefully crafted this to be exactly what we know y'all need. Step by step, it really, really works. So tomorrow's the application. We're going to come and we're going to really apply this to situations in our life. So don't miss tomorrow, because like we went through the tapping, I want you to leave here and go try it. But now I'm going to start doing it, unless I can tell you have a question. So I'll get you. I can tell her she's all like,
come off mute.
She's come off mute. She's like all eager. I'm like, I'm getting there, girl. Next steps. Don't forget homework in the community. The third day, make sure you do day 1, 2, and 3 if you want to qualify for the scholarship for the year to the Happy Human membership that we just talked about, that I hope you all are planning on joining us in, because it is amazing. If you haven't introduced yourself, please go introduce yourself, post any questions, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Melissa has something to say.
Don't forget about me. I just want to, and we're probably going to be answering more of these questions on Friday, but Anna had asked, how much time on average does this take? Which is
right. Yep.
One of our top frequently asked questions.
And I'm going to go through on Friday, I'm going to be doing like the frequently asked questions and all of that stuff. Here's the thing, and this is why I really like having people do the year with us, is because it really is very self-paced. Healing and dealing with our emotions, just like we want to make them logical and rational, we also tend to want to do what our world's taught us to do and say, I am going to watch a video a day, and I am going to do a workbook a day. And I'm going to move through it in this like logical way. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. Sometimes you'll find yourself spending 10 minutes a day on this and having insane results for a couple of weeks. And then you'll find yourself go into something really interesting and deep that kind of keeps you there. And all of a sudden now you're spending more time in there. On average, I would say maybe an average person, wouldn't you say maybe the actual coursework per se, maybe an hour to 3 hours a week. It's not intensive, like where you're like, holy moly, there's a lot in there. But it's formulated for you to kind of do it step by step throughout your year with us.
I would echo Sarah's comment in that, yes, there's coursework, there's training, right? You have to kind of watch something, listen to something, let it resonate and absorb in your brain and in your body. The actual step, like studious time or academic time, is actually quite nil. Our videos are
quite
anywhere
minimal.
from 20 to 30 minutes.
It's quite minimal.
You can there's a tapping script, there's kind of checklist items that you can do in our workbooks. But one of the things, and Sarah mentioned this, and I want to echo it, is that one of the things that we really want people to get out of their head is that this is not a checklist that you need to complete. This isn't like, hey, you're going to school, you have an exam on this date, and then finals, and then you've earned your degree. This is about learning a new concept, opening up your mind, and then taking that into every interaction throughout your life. And in the beginning, it's going to be a very conscious effort that you're making to be like, okay, actually I'm triggered. Whoa. Don't take that deep breath, and really challenging yourself to say, like, is this something that that I actually need to release? And trying to silence your logic and your brain and allow your emotions to come to the front of the stage for once. The value of the 12 months is it gives you the time and the space to do that. It's like learning how to walk. It's kind of clunky in the beginning, and then you're like, okay, I got this. And you fall down a couple of times. And then before you know it, you're sprinting. But we really find when people are on like, okay, I'm going to get this done in 3 months, you miss it. You miss the opportunity for big transformation.
And that's why we really wanted to incentivize with you guys the year, because we find our people who really come in for a year, they have a different experience, because it's not so much like, okay, well, maybe I can get this done in a quick 3 months. And they're just going through the motions and not actually getting into the work, where this really allows you to kind of say, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm committing to this. I'm going to show up for this. I've paid up front in a way, so I'm going to show up and do this. And it really just kind of changes the energy around how you're showing up for this work. And that's why we're really incentivizing this year, and hoping you guys will take advantage of it and join us.
And Amy said, you really do need at least a year. And she said, well, I did. And I can echo that out as well. I feel like 0 to 6 months, you're really getting the practice down. And then like Sarah had said, that 6 months to year, you're just like, holy crap, like life is just easy. It's changing. You start kind of pushing your boundaries, so to speak, on, okay, can I actually release this emotion around, I don't know, an annoying habit that your partner won't give up, or your kid's whining. Like, you really start being able to look at life differently and how you respond to stimulus differently once you really can get that technique down. And then the upheaval, all of our stuff that we've stuffed into our body, once that gets out, it really opens your mind and your brain and your body in a completely different way, in a way that I don't think that I can concisely, which is also always my problem, concisely or eloquently put into words. It's a different experience.
And then what's cool about it too, is that as you get this down, then we do cool things. Like I get inspired and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a little mini course on this. And so then we just did one in parenting. We actually just did one for our kids too. So if you guys have kids, I created little videos for kids in different age groups so that they can start learning this and learning about emotions and understanding how to express. And so those are in there too. And they're, of course, free for your kids to go check out and look at. And just so you guys know too, I don't know if we have anybody in here who has businesses or therapists and whatnot, but if you're really loving this too, and you're like, this is for me, I love it, I want to know how to do it, we do have a certification program as well. And right now it's on early bird pricing for our next events that are coming up. And so if that's something that interests you, feel free to email support@heyyouhuman.com and let them know that you're interested in that, and they can get you the information for that as well. I don't want to go over that all here because that's not what we're here for. But I think that would be, if that's something that's interesting you and you want information on that, keep that in mind, because the prices are like half of what they are right now, since we're still in the early bird phase.
Before we sign off, I do want to reiterate Ember's comment that she put in here, just because the chat doesn't come through in the replays, where she said, I feel like there's definitely shifts before the 1 year mark, but just like working out, you'll see results in those first several weeks. And then you see the real difference in the first several months, and then massive transformation after a year. So I think I wanted to point that out specifically, because it's not like you're going to be working at something for a year and like a PhD, and you're just like working and hoping you get the results.
It's not
you
like
definitely see transformations right away. You feel differently. It's just it just keeps compounding and getting better and better. And when you allow yourself a full year, it doesn't give you any excuses to give up on yourself or to leave.
Yeah. And it really too, it's like, it is like working out very much. Like it just builds off of each other and it ripples into other parts of your life, and that's kind of what this does. And it just gets better and better. And we would love for you to join us. And if you have questions, of course, drop them in the app. or email us and we're happy to answer. Tomorrow, we're going to be diving deeper, like I said, into the application. So we went over the technique. Now we're going to be saying, okay, this situation happens with spouse. What do we do? This situation happens with kids. What do we do? And then on Friday, we're going to go into money, which I know everybody's always so interested in, like, what I can actually change my relationship with money through this work. Oh, my friend, can you? Oh, my friend, can you? Like, in such a big way. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you back here, same place, same time tomorrow. Go check out all the information on our Happy Human membership. Don't miss that deal. And we hope to see you guys in there and tomorrow. All right. Bye.